That's when United States had that American exchange program with Mexico where they would transfer inmates from Mexico. And I got transferred, so
They traded a Mexican national that
Yep.
was in a U.S. prison for you.
Yep. So they transferred me over to El Paso, Texas, La Tuna Federal Prison, and that's where I stepped into the federal prison. And back then,
What
remember,
year?
these are the early 90s.
Mid-90s.
You know, it's all a blur to me. You know, early 90s is when the feds actually had the big dogs in the feds. I remember meeting all the guys that were there. Like now, if you go to the feds now, they got crackheads in there. They got fucking guys for pistols. No, when I stepped, people don't realize. I always tell the story.
La Tuna was what, a medium?
It was a medium. They were like real. There was guys walking around with like bathrobes, like they real people that had to be in the feds. Big cases, not what they have in there now. So, you know, when I went to La Tuna, my roommate was this older guy, and I don't want to say his name, but you know, older guy didn't
Hispanic?
He was a Colombian. Didn't have a leg. He was involved with Miami when the cocaine cowboys and all
Early
that
80s.
stuff.
So he had been in prison 10,
Yep.
12 years.
Yep. Really good guy, man, you know, and since he didn't have a leg, I used to always do everything for him, you know, his laundry. I've always been taught in my culture to respect my elders, and I would make myself, you know, useful, help them out. I didn't have no money, no nothing, so.
Had your family, did your family kind of turn their back? Were they upset with you?
My family's never done shit for me, man, so, you know, that's why I've always looked for the whole gang culture. I've always created my own family. I think in Mexican culture, that's how it is. Yeah. You know, I took care of him, looked out for him. I did everything. He would cook, always give me food, blah, blah, blah. So we built a really good relationship. So when I got released from La Tuna, I still had warrants in Chicago. So I ended up going to, you know, state prison. It was an awful use of a weapon, a shooting that I had got into.
Oh, you were wanted from years prior.
Yeah.
A gang shoot.
Yeah. So they picked me up, they take me over there.
So for those keeping score, you had a couple months of making a bunch of money, and now you've passed through 3 different prison systems, and how many years have passed by the time you get back to Chicago?
I know altogether it was 8 after I got out from Chicago.
So you from 17 to 25, you're in jail.
Yeah. So, you know, I come home and, you know, didn't have nothing, nowhere to live, nothing.
So 96.
Yeah, I come home and, you know, my gang, you know, family takes me in, they give me a place to live. Not really, you know, the leader's a little, he lets me stay but kicks me out when he's got girls over, blah, blah, blah. So it was a really like hard situation for me. So I want to say about 6 months down the road, that old guy from the federal prison gets a hold of me.
The Colombian.
Yeah.
He's out?
No, his son. So his son gets a hold of me and he's like, hey, my pops wants to look out for you. He says you're a good kid, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm connected directly. So I pretty much became a millionaire overnight, but I mean, I started making money overnight.
What? I mean, this is 20 years ago, so I mean, you were given some cocaine?
I was just moving shit, you know what I mean? And you know.
Were you given stuff to sell or were you transporting?
No, I was selling.
And they gave it to you in Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my whole life changed, man. I went from not having nothing to, you know, buying my Mercedes 500 the next day. Yeah, so it got to the point where, like, my own friends started hating me, so.
So this happens in 90 days or something?
Yep. You know, I ended up meeting this girl. She owned a restaurant. Of course, I married her because she had big ties.
Oh, to
the cartel.
She was Mexican.
Yeah, her family, her brothers,
Which
everything.
cartel, or you don't want to say?
I don't want to say, but like, I married with an intention.
Oh, so you you're mentally like, I'm about to be a gangster. I paid my, I've been to Mexican jail. I got a Colombian connect. I'm marrying into a cartel family.
And I still use this term to this day, even in my training. I always say that my madness, there's always something behind my madness.
Method to your madness.
Yes, something. I'm always up to something. So
At that time in your life, it was no good.
no good. So yeah, I married her. She was like 10 years older than me. Married her, and then.
So you got a Colombian plug, and now you're by family. You're married into a Mexican cartel. So you're in position to
big
get
things.
yourself in a lot of trouble.
So that's pretty much that's the way I looked at it. I was like, you know, the stage is set.
To get life in prison.
Like my whole dream was to be a gangster. I wanted to be a gangster. I wanted to be a shot caller. So I was like, yeah, the stage is set. Now people are coming to my restaurant to eat, you know, hang out, talk to me. They want to work with me. I'm everybody's best fucking friend. You know, me and Kato start hanging out more. He was on a whole higher level, you know. For him to even mess with you, he was doing you a favor, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So he was married to Valerie. I knew Valerie since my teenage years.
Valerie was the daughter of a Chicago cop?
Yes. So, you know, Valerie.
What was she like?
Valerie was like my older sister as a kid
Regular
growing
girl
up,
from
man.
the neighborhood?
Very smart, man. Business sassy,
Beautiful?
just beautiful.
Oh, she was smart. So she kind of was probably helping kids.
She was married to all the big dogs.
Well, I know
or
she went after the
dated,
Flores, but we'll get into that.
or
in a minute.
dated the major players in Chicago, like even as a teenage girl. You know, she was with Oso from the same Disciples. He was a big hustler. Then she married Baby D from the same Disciples.
Oh, she was married before Kato?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, was she older than Kato?
No, she was like my
So
age.
this daughter of a Chicago police officer was married to like an equivalent of Kato before Kato, then Kato, and then she went on to marry one of the Flores brothers.
Yeah.
So she kept trading up in the dope game.
Well, she was sought out by a lot of people that, you know, she was beautiful, man. I mean, she was
Plus, she was
beautiful,
with the business.
beautiful, smart. She was a hustler.
You think her father was shady, or you have no idea?
Nah, her father was a straight square, man. I know who her father is.
What does he think about everything that
I mean, can you really control what your kids do, man? You know?
Jesus.
You know, it is what it is. It's like I tell people, sometimes, you know, you could come from a straight lawyer, preacher, whatever family, and if you like trouble, you like trouble. I mean, there's no way around it. You can't control how your kids are going to turn out. And Valerie was always a hustler. I mean, Valerie's the one that taught me the hustle game. Valerie, I remember the first time I got the $10,000, I went and I bought some Dickies and like some gym shoes, and she's like, oh, no. She's like, you can't dress like that no more. And I was like,
And
what do you mean?
she was a teenager.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean? She's
So
like,
you
no.
guys were close.
Yeah. She's like, I'm gonna take you shopping. And we went shopping and I bought lacrosse, you know, gym shoes, lacrosse, you know, shirts. I started making fun of it because I was like, you're dressing me like a fucking golf player. And she's like, no, you look like a gangster now. She picked out my chain with my medallion, and she's like, now you can tell these bitches to sweat you. She picked out my car.
Wow.
Like she built me. She made me,
She
man.
must have grew up a few blocks from you, or?
I mean, at the time she was dating a close acquaintance of mine, you know, from the same Disciples, and she always had a liking for me. She always looked out for me. She took care of me too when I was in prison in Mexico. She would send me money and letters.
So you guys are very close.
You know, when she was actually living in Mexico.
She wasn't with Kato when you got locked up in Mexico.
No. She was
So
with.
you actually, your relationship with her predates.
Oh, since
her and
teenagers.
Kato. Okay.
Yeah, since teenagers. The last time I heard from her is when she went to Mexico and she was living out there. And well, me and him just got closer because he was with Valerie. And Valerie was like, come over to the house, hang out with us, blah, blah, blah. So I would go hang out with them at their house every morning, smoke some weed, you know, bullshit. Kato knew how much Valerie loved me, you know, how much she always wanted me to do good.
I'll always love you, Kay.